We take you live now to the Ontario Legislature where question period is underway, and David Piccini is speaking. Let's listen in.
Each and every day, creating opportunities through creating a low-tax environment, creating opportunities through building historic infrastructure that you will see enshrined in the fall economic statement. That's going to create rewarding opportunities for men and women to earn a better job with a bigger paycheck. We'll keep supporting them, keep investing in their training, and we'll never turn our backs on them.
Supplementary, the Leader of the Opposition.
Well, Speaker, we've got Strippergate, and boy, the Emperor's got no clothes. I imagine that none of the members opposite actually imagined themselves having to get up and answer questions about something like this. They didn't imagine themselves having to go back into their communities and explain why their government is giving money to companies like this. The government plans are not working for the people of Ontario. That is a fact. It might be working for their friends, for insiders, but it is certainly not working for families who are struggling right now just to pay the bills, struggling to pay for groceries. So when is this Premier going to fire this minister and focus on Ontario's workers?
Minister of Labour.
Talk about the facts. That is incorrect, and the articles have acknowledged that that is incorrect, Speaker. We know that this fund has strong accountability metrics built within, strict financial controls, monthly reporting, and on-site monitoring, Speaker. Officials have done that. In this hospitality support program, Speaker, we're talking about employers, some of the largest venues in Toronto that host things like the multi-partisan CJ PAC. This evening, the True Patriot Love Foundation, and we value the men and women who work at the front of house, who work at the back of house of these venues. Hit hard during the pandemic, restaurants who are shuttered, and will continue to support their training, especially with programs through rounds 2 and 4 that met their KPIs, exceeded their KPIs, and received support from officials who've assessed them with a monthly monitoring, Speaker. We'll continue to support those workers.
That's right. Final supplementary.
Wow, dig deeper, Minister. Dig deeper. I got to tell you, there is no answer from the Premier to this because the rot starts at the top. That is the truth. And the government can brag about their record all they want to, but they should try telling that to the almost 800,000 people in Ontario who are currently out of work and looking for jobs. This morning, I started my day at a food bank, okay, talking to people who are waiting in line. And I want to tell you that the people who are using food banks in this province these days under this Premier's watch are folks like the retired engineer that I spoke with, nurses, seniors, young families, young working people. These are the record number of people that are using food banks today in the province of Ontario under this government. And let me tell you, these Ontarians cannot afford to pay to play. Speaker, what do these folks need to do to get the attention of your government?
Minister of Labour.
Speaker, I appreciate that the member opposite started her day doing that. I appreciate that. And I started my day as well speaking with men and women of our building trade sectors, the employer bargaining agents that landed historic agreements in our industrial and commercial sector that avoided labour disruption, who are grateful that this Premier has stood up to protect their job sites, progressive measures to ensure properly fitting personal protective equipment, progressive measures to bring defibrillators on job sites, progressive members to train their members, organized labour, Speaker, that have supported this Premier because he's putting their men and women to work. When I spoke to them this morning, they're grateful for a fall economic statement that's going to invest in highways, roads, and bridges, that's going to invest in hospitals, that's going to put their men and women to work. That's why organized labour supports this Premier, supports this government, because we'll keep their members working, Speaker.
Question, the Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, nurses going to food banks is nothing to be proud of. Yeah. It is nothing to be proud of. I want to talk numbers, Speaker, because yesterday the Premier called me a liar for sharing some numbers. And I understand why he's feeling a little touchy and a little worked up. I would feel a little insecure, too, if I was responsible for a crisis of this scale. Let's talk some facts. This government has led to the highest unemployment rate we have faced in decades. In September alone, we lost 12,500 retail jobs, 7,300 jobs in construction, 7,100 jobs in public administration. Okay? 3,800 people in education are currently out of work, 3,200 in culture and rec, and 2,000 in the service sector. Will the Premier face the truth, accept that he has created a jobs disaster in this province?
Recognize the Premier.
Madam Speaker, 1 million new jobs. Remember that, to the Leader of the Opposition, 1 million new jobs since we've taken office. Let's remind the people of Ontario what happened when the NDP and the Liberals were in charge. 600,000 people lost their jobs. We've grown the population by 2 million people since we've been in office, and we continuously see investments of $70 billion of investment from around the world, Madam Speaker. That would never exist under the NDP and the Liberals, because they were terrified companies around the world to come and invest in Ontario, because the highest tax regime they've ever seen, red tape regulations, highest electricity costs, they weren't coming to Ontario. We came into office and we've changed it. We've seen tens of billions of dollars of investment. We're going to continue seeing tens of billions of dollars of investment as we move forward.
Supplementary.
Yeah. Tell that to all the people lined up at the food banks. Yeah. Okay? I mean, look, you cannot create enough jobs because you have no job plan. We are losing jobs in this province far faster than anyone here has created them because you have no plan. If the jobs disaster was not enough, let's look at another example of this Premier's mess. Record low housing starts, Speaker. The government has missed every single one of their housing targets. And let me tell you, folks working in residential construction right now are telling me they cannot find a job, and you know it. You lost Ontario 25,000 jobs in the first half of this year, and if you don't fix this mess, there will be 50,000 fewer jobs by the end of this year. It is a jobs disaster. Will the Premier accept that his housing failure is creating a jobs disaster?
Recognize the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing.
Thank you, Speaker. Let me begin by saying, as I always do, and the member opposite, I don't think gets it, it takes too long and it costs too much to build housing. We've changed that. Bill 17, now Bill 60. If they would read Bill 60 in detail, they will understand it's going to help cut the delays. Let's take a look, Speaker, specifically at the rental markets. In the last 3 years, we've seen 51,000 new starts in the GTHA. Why? Why?
Order.
That's a record. 17,000 after 3 months.
Muslim West Ancaster Dundas.
38% increase. That being said, competition. Supply creates competition. Competition creates new rental starts. That's how it works. We've created the environment for this to take place, Speaker, and that is exactly what we're going to continue to do. Continue to look at the details of Bill 60. It's going to work. Bill 17 is working. It takes too long. It costs too much. We're lowering the cost. We're getting more homes built.
Final supplementary.
I mean, this government, they can't see the forest for the trees, right? Every day there is another headline. Every day there is another scandal. The government's only jobs plan is their pay-to-play scheme, right? Ontarians deserve so much better than this from their government. And I don't know how the members across the way can go back to their communities and defend this government's scandals again and again and again. I know for sure that's not why you ran. That's not why I ran. We ran to fix things for people, for regular people, for working people. Right on. I hope you go back to your ridings next week. Speaker, I hope that these members go back to their ridings next week and take an ethics check, a morality check, because this government has become morally bankrupt. Yep. Morally bankrupt.
Question.
So to the Premier, are we finally going to see a real jobs plan in this fall economic statement? Is he going to undo this jobs disaster for Ontarians?
recognize the Premier.
Well, again, I'll just repeat the million jobs, Madam Speaker. And in September, just September, there was over 44,700 new jobs, 22,000 in August. We've created the environment, Madam Speaker, by reducing the cost of doing business by $12 billion a year. I would like to put a little challenge to all the parties, including ourselves. Let's talk to every CEO of every major corporation, every small business, every medium business. Who would you want sitting on your board running your company?
Speaker.
Would you want the NDP, the Liberals, or do you want the PC government? It's not 99%, 100% of every corporation, small, medium, or large, they would pick the PC government, creating more jobs, more economics. You know something? We went back to our ridings. We went, Madam Speaker, do I get to speak? Okay, just calm down and let me speak.
Speaker.
You will get your turn.
Question. Order. We move on to the Leader of the third party for questions.
Thank you, Speaker. And we've been, it's another day and it's the same old story. We've been talking about the same thing for about 3 weeks now. I never thought I'd be talking about what I'm talking about for the last 3 weeks. It's not funny. None of this is funny. None of it's funny.
Through the Speaker.
So Speaker, our pages are going to go home after today. So, you know, we got to think about what the pages are going to say when they go home, when their friends ask, what happened, right? What did you hear? What did you hear?
Order.
We got to think about them, the ones in the gallery.
Side will come
so we
to
know
order.
that the Premier and his party or whoever gave $10 million to the owner of a strip club. And it was part of $27 million that they gave to bars and nightclubs in downtown Toronto. Right? And we know that that $17 million was given to another group, which I will follow up in my supplementary, about whether or not the Premier's office was involved.
The Minister of Labour.
Speaker, when they go home, they'll see false and misleading statements made by that member. That's what they will.
I'll ask the Minister to withdraw.
Speaker, they'll see a government that stood up in the face of the pandemic for hospitality workers, front and back of house, to invest in their training at some of the largest centres in downtown Toronto, centres every member of this House have been in. They'll see a Premier that's fighting for lower taxes, that's fighting to attract investments, that's the only one standing up to a bully south of the border. They'll see a Premier making record investments that's putting unionized men and women to work, non-unionized men and women to work in the construction sector. Those same unions that have invited those members, and I hope on Constituency Week, they actually take up people like Victoria Mancinelli, who's invited you to her training centres. She's heard nothing back, Speaker. She'll be in the House later today. I hope the members take her up on the opportunity to visit some of the
Back to the Leader of the
We've been listening to question period underway. Lots of debate surrounding the Skills Development Fund.